Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Buckeye Talk is about to begin. Hey, 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 come on in.
Welcome back to Buckeye Talk. I'm Stephen Means, and that's Stefan Krajisnik, and that is Andrew Gillis, and we're coming to you post-game pod after Ohio State's 42-3 win over Minnesota. Two of us were correct in saying that Minnesota would only score 3 points. The other one of us said that they were going to score 6 points, so it's really not that big of a deal. No touchdowns, though. Still, Ohio State, 5 games, 2 touchdowns, and they finally let Julian Sand loose. He was 23 of 27 for 326 yards and 3 touchdowns. But also, again, the defense. In the first half, Minnesota had, I think, 61 yards on its opening drive. They had 34 yards for the rest of the first half. So impressive on both sides of the ball. Yeah, what side of the ball do you want to start on?
Let's start on offense because I want to go offense.
All right, then go ahead and talk about Carnell Tate because I know that's where you're going.
Carnell Tate's friggin' awesome. And I wrote about this after the game. I waxed poetic about it on our YouTube page when we did the stand-up after on the field. We can talk so much about this run that Ohio State receivers are on, and they can still be on a great run, and it just takes a little bit of a dip, and it's still amazing, and they're still the best receiver factory in college football, and blah, 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 blah. You could get to a point where you have the second receiver off the board and the fifth receiver off the board, the first receiver off the board and the third receiver off the board, or the first and the ninth, or whatever. Ohio State has been awesome, for the last decade, really, for the better part of a decade at developing receivers at this level. And I'm blown away with how good this remains because they did it again. Emeka Egbuka, we went into the spring game of 24 and I was like, guys, Emeka's awesome. And I just don't want to lose sight of that. Now, granted, I think we knew that JJ was going to be good. I don't know if we necessarily anticipate him being the number one target right away, but Emeka was so good, and he's tearing up the NFL right now, and that guy was never the number one receiver on his own team because of Marvin Harrison Jr. and because of Jeremiah Smith. And the same is going to be true, I think, for Carnell Tate. I think we're going to be having a conversation Carnell Tate's doing some really, really good things for the Raiders. And guess what? He was never the number one receiver on his own team. And Carnell Tate, I feel very comfortable in saying, is just as important to the success of Ohio State's offense as Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, if you had nobody behind him, think about that 23 season where Emeka was hurt.
Don't take me back to places when they didn't have quarterback play like this, please. It's traumatic.
It's think back to that. Emeka was hurt, and then you had Cade Stover and Julian Fleming. Those were your 2 and 3 passing options behind Marv. And I'm not trying to make this a defend Kyle McCord podcast, but that did play into it, and that did hurt, right? So, Carnell Tate gives you an advantage that nobody else in college football has. Carnell Tate gives you an advantage where you have the best receiver in college football on your team, and everybody's got to worry about that guy because you have to. And then you turn around and there's Carnell. And Carnell's better than pretty much every corner in college football. If he were to go one-on-one for a full game with Malik Muhammad at Texas, I think there's, maybe some back and forth. There's a kid at LSU whose name I forget, Leonard Moore at Notre Dame. There are dudes where it's all right, the best of the best in college football that would be a war one-on-one. And Carnell Tate is just better than everybody else. And like, he is the linchpin, I think, to what this offense does. And it's just, I really don't think you can say enough great things about what he's done and what he is at Ohio State.
Carnell Tate, good. Ditto. Retweet. Like, quote, tweet, and put the red exclamation marks over top of it. Draft him in April. Stefan, most impressive thing about Ohio State's offense and a 42-3 win over Minnesota.
I like that. I was just impressed with how Julian Sayin handled everything finally kind of being put on his plate, right? This felt like the most complete offensive performance for Ohio State in terms of, what they want him to do. I'm trying to talk. Steven's like dancing. I don't know what's going on. There must be some good music going on.
It's because I'm talking about receivers, and Steven's like, it's about time. Andrew saw the light.
Oh, well, yes, you finally found the light. So it's 12:52 in the morning as we're recording this because Ohio State, for some reason, they keep getting night games, man. What's going on here? They just need a noon game so badly.
It's not going to happen against Penn State. Maybe not anymore.
So I'm eating a bit of ice cream, a little midnight snack, literally, at this point. And it's good ice cream. It's good ice cream. It's just vanilla ice cream from Insomnia. It was supposed to be so I could make a cookie sandwich, but I ate all the cookies yesterday. So now I'm just eating the ice cream. It's very, very good ice cream. So continue with your point. You are making a very good point about Julian Sayin. And I think in all seriousness, it's a very important point because we've been waiting on this game for 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's the conversation that we had kind of when we were ranking the quarterbacks on the live pod last week was, so much of Julian was still kind of a projection of, how much is Ohio State willing to, unleash him, right? Because, they were conservative against Texas. They were conservative against Washington. And at some point, you knew they were going to have to kind of, unlock it and see what it looks like when Julian Sayin is going, full throttle in this offense. And that's what it looked like, right? Like super accurate, with the deep ball and intermediate passes. Took shots, took advantage of explosives when they were there. Understanding of just how good his weapons are, right? Like he was looking Carnell's way and Jeremiah's way, and Max Clare had very quiet, like 5 catches for 63 yards, like looking his way, just delivering darts all over the field. And like Ohio State at some point is going to have to win a game where Julian Sayin is their best player, right? Or at least is having his best game. He's at his best, right? Like there's a lot of games Ohio State will win because its defense is overpowering. There's games that Ohio State's going to win because Bo Jackson is making plays. There's games Ohio State's going to win because of AJ and Carnell and everything. But there's going to come a moment where Julian Sayin has to make the pass. And whether that's a playoff game, whether it's a Big Ten title game, whether it's the trip to Michigan at the end of November, whatever it may be, and he showed you that he's capable of making any pass in the playbook. Like that's how good this dude can be. And oh, by the way, you're getting at least 2 years of him as a starter and maybe more than that. We'll see. So, yeah, I like them finally being like, all right, Julian, home game against an inferior opponent. We know we can kind of throw everything at you. And he took advantage, man. The accuracy was just, I mean, it's the play where he got hit and threw it to Max Clare over the middle of the field. Like, it's just a ridiculous throw to be able to make. And like, what's one thing we talked about going into the season, like mobility and size is maybe somewhat of a concern with Julian Sayin. I mean, I don't care how small he is. He got rocked and delivered a dart down the middle of the field to Max Clare and got up and moved on with his day. Like that's what you got in Julian Sayin. And it's scary to think about what it looks like when Ryan Day has the defense and kind of everything in place for Julian Sayin to develop, on the proper timeline. Like what that could look like. It's what it looked like against Minnesota. Just sheer dominance from Julian Sayin and that passing attack.
Yeah, Julian Sayin has the talent to sit at the table with Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, and Dwayne Haskins, and today he finally got some credentials to actually be able to sit there.
Yeah, we had talked about this, and like I still stand by this. Like, Steven was, when we ranked our quarterbacks on the live show on Wednesday, which like we do every week, by the way. So if you're listening and you didn't know that, now you do. Like Steven put Julian 1, and I don't even know if I would still put Julian 1. I don't know if I'm there yet, but like one of the things that we had talked about was like, yeah, he absolutely could get there, and it was just the fact that Ohio State had not given him the utensils, right? It was, hey, take your time. We're going to give you a 5-course meal, but you're going to eat it 1 course at a time. They're not just going to put every plate of food in front of you and go. And, Stefan's right. Like, this was kind of the night where they gave Julian Sayin the reins, and, they hadn't really done that before, which is why it was reasonable to say, I'm taking Fernando Mendoza. I'm taking Dante Moore. Like, those guys had went on the road and Moore's win maybe looks a little less impressive now, but like they had went on the road and they had won games, or they had beaten the snot out of ranked teams or whatever it was. And Ohio State, like, they hadn't done that. They scored 14 points against Texas. They beat an FCS team. They beat a MAC team. They scored 24 points on the road at Washington. And even still, there were some issues, right? There were red zone issues. There were things that you were kind of like, Ohio State's got to get better here, or Julian Saint's got to get better here. And tonight was really kind of the night where it's like, whoa, this is different.
You know what would be a great series for Buckeye Talk? A live show. And Stefan, you're going to like this. Where we had ice cream. And we could call it the Ice Cream Social.
Hell yeah.
So, and Stefan and I really like ice cream, I know Andrew likes ice cream too. It's just he's not obsessed with it the way we are. But I don't think, Andrew, you're opposed to that. Like the Ice Cream Social, it'd be like a little session, like a 10-minute session where we ate ice cream and we talked a little bit of football. I don't think anybody's against that. It could be like a night recap thing. So when Ohio State continues to play these night games, that would be a perfect way to get some content out of it. So ice cream places around Columbus, Ohio. Listen, if you're looking for someone to promote you, listen, man.
I love the idea of us just saying like let's take sponsors, but only from the stuff that we love.
What else would I want to sponsor from you? I don't want to lie to people. If I do sponsorship, I want to feel like when I say I do this, I eat this, I wear this, I participate in this, I'm not lying to you. I genuinely do this in my real life. I genuinely had 2 Celsius. I got up like earlier.
That explains the dancing.
Yeah.
It's the other one. It's 1 a.m. Steven's dancing, because his heart is pumping like a racehorse.
Yeah, listen, I'm rocking today, man. I got an AP poll to do after we get done with this.
By the way, ice cream places, I will give you the best ad read every single time.
Ever.
Like, I will give you the best ad read. That is my promise to you.
When we went to a Mariners game in Seattle, we're kind of off trail now, but when we went to a Mariners game in Seattle, Stefan bought an ice cream shirt. Like it's actually like a low key nice shirt. It's got a Seattle Mariners logo like stitched into the front of it. Like none of this like printed on stuff that every sports website wants to use now. It's like stitched in, and on the back, it's like one of those like helmet ice cream things. I've never seen a man. I texted the picture. Stefan was like, send this to his girlfriend. So I sent this to her, and she said both times when he was eating the ice cream, there was like they had the ice cream nachos, and when he had the shirt, he looked so happy. And I was like, I think this is the happiest I've ever seen Stefan.
Yeah, I got ice cream with her recently, and she was like, "You're getting one scoop or 2?" And I was like, "Come on, who
the heck is getting one scoop?
Don't make me say it out loud."
Yeah, who the heck is getting 1 scoop of ice cream? If you give me the opportunity to get 3 scoops, I might think about it.
I'll wear the Mariners ice cream shirt on the live show Wednesday. That's my promise to the listeners.
Good. Either that or do it in the video. What's your question? Do you have any lingering questions about Ohio State's offense after today?
I still have a question maybe about, I told myself I wouldn't do it, but I'm going to do it because new information was presented. What's going on at right guard? Like who? Because I said I wasn't going to do. I said specifically the Lorenzo Styles thing and the Tegra Shabola thing. I'm not doing because we keep coming up with these solutions and they just keep doing the same thing. But we saw Josh Padilla in the game. It wasn't even Ethan Owenyawa at right guard. It was Josh Padilla this time.
Okay, fine. On Tuesday, somebody can ask, "Hey Ryan, what's up at right guard?" Right? Fine. That is correct to ask that question. Andrew, do you have any lingering questions about Ohio State after what we saw on Saturday night?
No, I want to see maybe some more consistency out of the run game. I think I don't know if they're running it as consistently as you'd like right now. I don't really think look, tonight was the first night they gave the reins pretty clearly to Bo Jackson. And I know James Peoples, I thought, had a nice run, but like Donaldson really wasn't involved. He had 3 carries. Like I think we see a number 1 and number 2 punch coming, and I wonder if that's going to be something consistently. Like if you do play, like a Michigan or a really great defensive line, like are you going to be able to have both of those weapons? Because that is what we're talking about right now with Ohio State. Is like one of the things that makes this team so damn good is that when you take away JJ, you could throw it to Carnell. When you take away Carnell and JJ, you throw it to Max Clare or Brennan Innes or one of the other weapons. And I don't know if it's going to be consistent enough, but it's going to be good enough, I think. And that's like, again, it's picking nits, but like that is probably the way where it's like, I wonder if they're going to just be able to lean on people in that way.
When you say consistency, are you talking about quality of run game, or are you talking about who is running the football?
Quality of run game, because like there's a you could run you could have 5 carries for 30 yards, and it's different if you get 6 carries each time or if you get 20 and then you get 2 or whatever yards per carry that is the rest of the way, right? Like that's not a consistent run game, and I would like to see maybe Ohio State start to do that. But yeah, I mean, again, that is such a minor question that you have. I don't really know what other kind of questions you could have. Stefan hit it on the head with the right guard position. Like the tackles have been really good. Hinsman's been good. Montgomery's been awesome at left guard. Who knows what's going on with Shabola and Nyanwa? Like we talked about it coming out. Like Nyanwa's not this team's second right guard right now because they put in Josh Padilla there. And they put in Ian. Yeah, but it's like that's really the only question at right guard, and like that's it for me. It's the consistency of the run game, which is again minor, and what's going on at right guard.
Sure, but like I don't know if Padilla played real snaps on Saturday because they didn't like what they were seeing from their starters, and so they went to the guy who's technically their backup center, or because something happened to the backup, and so they had to go to Josh Padilla. We don't know the answer to that question right now. Maybe we'll get some clarity about it on Tuesday. So fine, I'll bite. I'll talk about your guys' nitpicks first. I have zero problem.
I got the snap counts for Padilla, by the way.
Already?
Shabola ended up having 40 snaps, offensive snaps. Padilla had 19. But if you were looking at like Austin Serville had 49. So so that tells me there was 49 serious snaps. So for Tiger to play 40, he still played a majority of the important ones. I think the series where we saw Josh Padilla playing right guard was the series right after there was that whole situation with like Tegra running in late on like field goal. And like, so it might have been another like disciplinary type of like rotation.
Sure.
But I thought it was interesting that it was Josh Padilla that came in.
Sure. And that's why, again, we might get some clarity on that. The run game stuff. I don't have any questions about who's running the ball. I know what's happening with who's running the ball. Bo Jackson's your starting running back, and C.J. Donaldson and James Peoples are your backup running backs. And it's not going to be consistent who's number 2 every single week. It's just going to be how Carlos Lachlan wants to roll them. So as a result, C.J. Donaldson, who had like 17 carries against Texas because he was the only running back who had played in meaningful games before, now he only gets the ball 3 times. I think he's your situational back. They used him as a fullback tonight, and he got a touchdown run off of it. They're going to do a bunch of different stuff with C.J. Donaldson. Sometimes he's going to be out there as a receiving threat. There are going to be games when they use him in short yardage situations. There's going to be games where they use him as a traditional running back. But I said this 2 weeks ago where I said, I think we're going to get to a spot here where Bo and James are your 1 and 2, and then C.J. Donaldson, you're sprinkling him in there in situational situation. And that's what happened tonight. So that's not an issue. Bo Jackson's getting the ball 15 times a game. That's what's going to happen. He's their best running back. Here's why I don't have a problem with the run game. Because you're not Michigan.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what you do. But you have to be, though I loved the way Ryan Day talked about it over the last couple of weeks. It has to be a threat to be explosive. Do we not think Ohio State's run game, with what we've seen from Bo Jackson through 4 games of his career and what James Peoples was, I felt like tonight was a breakthrough late for James Peoples, especially that 33-yard run. I mean, take away the 33-yard run, he had 26 yards on 6 carries. That's what Bo Jackson has been doing for the past 3 weeks, where it's like, yeah, it's great if you take away the explosive run, he's not that good. Okay, that's what Justice Haynes has been for Michigan. Justice Haynes didn't run it great against Wisconsin on Saturday, but he had a 43-yard rocker, so it doesn't matter. Isn't that not the point of where we wanted to get them to? Isn't that not what Travion Henderson was?
Yeah.
I have 20 yards on 8 carries, but I also have a 70-yard run in there. So who cares? If they can be explosive in the run game, it's a threat. That is their ceiling there. And they've, in my opinion, they're reaching that ceiling. Anything more than that is them trying to do something that they are not.
I think, yeah, that's totally fair. Like I bring up that 23 Notre Dame game a lot where it's like, that's what you can get where you don't run the ball well and then you break one and it doesn't really matter. And I think that's why it's such a minor concern is like, you know, you can run the ball not very well and it's like 2 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard, 3 yards, -2, -1, -3, 4, 2. Oh, 69. And then it's a touchdown. Like he can just break it.
But that is why, especially last year before the playoff game, Andrew, I was so like no, you need to establish the run. No, you don't have to establish explosiveness.
You just need to run it when you can, yeah. Or when you have to.
I don't agree with it. No, none of it. Explosive, all it takes is one play where everybody executes to a T And now you're getting a freak athlete to the second level and he might be off to the races. Travion Henderson's 75-yard screen pass for a touchdown against Texas, everybody executed at the line of scrimmage, and now it's Travion Henderson's turn to be Travion Henderson. That's all it takes. That's not establishing. That's not running when you got to run. No. That's explosiveness because everybody did their job for one play, and then the dude that's highly recruited, that you recruited because you thought he was awesome, did the thing you recruited him to do. Everything else is you trying to do too much in the run game. Here's why I say, what's their flaw? I feel like they answered every single one of my questions tonight offensively. Julian Sand looks like he's got an NFL level arm. Are you going to let him use it? Yes, Steven, we are going to let him use it. He threw it 27 times and completed 23 of them. Carnell Tate is amazing. Can you please throw him the ball? Yes, Steven, you will throw him the ball. We actually threw it to him 10 times and he caught 9 of them for 183 yards and a touchdown, including the only touchdown that wasn't in the red zone. Hey, Ryan, you said 75% of your red zone trips need to end in touchdowns, but like that's not been an easy thing to do over the last couple of years. You sure that's a reasonable goal? 5 red zone trips. Guess how many touchdowns, Stefan?
5.
Special teams. Hey, this is weird. How come you can't do the punt return thing? Oh, no, we got a trick play coming for you because Brandon Ennis played quarterback at American Heritage for a year because he had to, so we know he can throw it. And the guy we put him out there with, our safety, he's a wide receiver formerly. And actually, he played wide receiver against us. And he had a 40-yard catch. So we're going to have Brandon Ennis catch the ball and then throw it to the other side of the field to Lorenzo Salles, and he's going to take it 30 yards down the field. Cool with me. Special teams became a weapon tonight. And not just because Caleb Downs is Caleb Downs. No. That was practice and executed. And it worked to a T. I don't have any more I have no notes.
You know what I was thinking of as you were talking about? Maybe this would be a fun pod idea for down the line. Like if Ohio State kind of keeps on this roll, maybe this is a bye-week pod. We all put on our quarter zips and our visors and we diagram a plan to beat Ohio State. And we say what would you do? And I think it's kind of what it always has been, which is just you put on your hard hat and run the ball and pound the rock.
They have to sign up to do that, though. That's the thing. That's the thing. Michigan's game plan against Ohio State was good last year, but Ohio State also has to subscribe to it. The thing I loved about tonight was Minnesota started the game with a bunch of too high and going, you're not going to beat us, Steve. We're going to make you drive. You got to play perfect. You got to get down to the red zone and execute. And you know what Ohio State did? Okay, let's go down there and let's execute. And after a while of having somebody dog walk you down the field, you have to do something right. You're just going to get dog walked for 60 minutes. So then they started bringing those safeties down, and Ohio State said, we're going to go over the top now. I feel like they were trolling me to everybody tonight, man. It's like, it was very much like, how do you want us to beat you? Because we'll do it every way you think of. You want us to beat you with slow, melodic drives where, you ran 7 minutes off the clock and you only got 3 points. Well, we're going to run 7 minutes off the clock and we're going to get 7. You want us to speed it up? Play action, long developing play action deep shot? Cool, we got that too. You want explosive runs? Okay, James, pop one real quick. Hey, Bo, pop one real quick. You want to get it out of Julian Sand's hands quick and make the receiver show you they can do the work for him? Okay, cool. Bubble screen here. Okay, slant here. Okay, intermediate pass there. You want Julian Sand to stand in the pocket facing down a blitzing linebacker who's about to knock his head off, and he has to layer a throw over the middle of the field to Max Clare? Okay, we'll do that too. I felt like Ohio State, and it drove us mad. They spent 4 games tinkering and just trying to figure out what they were, what their identity was, while not trying to throw Julian Sand to the wolves. And now they're on the other side, and it's like, okay, we figured it out. Hey, Julian, you ready to go fast? Yes, I've been waiting for a year and a half for you to let me go fast. Finally!
Literally, too. They ran some tempo in the first half.
I don't think I think Ohio State's only flaw offensively is getting in their own way. And Ryan Day said that as much after the game. He said, the only thing that can hold us back is us. Oregon on the road last year was the only time in the last 21 games where that statement was not true. And even then,
we talk about a lot of mistakes that they made.
Right. So I don't have any more questions about this offense. It drove me insane, and I'm sure it drove other fans insane to see that Julian Sand was ready to do this, but that doesn't mean his coaching staff wanted to. It could have easily turned into a don't bite off more than you can chew, and they'd rather slow play it and let it build up versus what CJ Carr has to deal with down in Notre Dame, where he has to bring it every single game, I have no more questions about this offense.
I think what's part of it. I think part of what was maybe maddening at the start too is like you could tell they were easing Julian into it, but there were parts of that like Washington game specifically where it just reminded you so much of the loss against Michigan, especially the first half of the Washington game, where you're saying, okay, I think they're just easing Julian into it, but do they still know at the end of the day what their identity should be? And I think the Minnesota game was like, okay, yes, they know. They know. It was just about getting Julian there versus, the first 4 games where they're running so many of these tight end packages and you're kind of sitting there like kind of in the back of your head a little worried, like, hey, do they think this is their identity, or are they just tinkering and trying some things out? Because I will say, like, we gave them crap for the 4th and 1, failed conversion at Washington. That play with Roberts at fullback worked to perfection on the goal line against Minnesota. Like, I think that's a good play that just, it was poorly executed against Washington. And if you were working with that stuff in the first few weeks to pull it out for situational settings like you did against Minnesota at the goal line, it works. But if you're running these plays with all these tight ends on the field and fullback on the field because you think like that's who you are, that's where you're going to get in your own way. So I think this Minnesota game was good for everyone to be like, hey, they know, just like you watching at home or you watching in the stands or you sitting in the press box watching a game, like they know what their identity is. Don't worry, they'll get there. Whereas I think leaving the Washington game, there was part of me, maybe a little bit, that was like, man, I really hope they're not trying to prove something again that they're not,
And but also to that point of the Nate Roberts at fullback thing, I think they still believe in it, and it almost reemphasized that it wasn't that they don't think they can do it. It's that Nate Roberts missed a block. If he doesn't miss a block and he executed, it's a little better, right? Because they did it they ran it again today, didn't get it because they didn't execute, and they followed up by running the exact same thing all over again, right? Brian Day's at the podium nitpicking. Not nitpicking. We need a new word other than nitpicking, because nitpicking suggests that you're complaining about something that's not really a problem, but you're just looking for something to complain about. Pointing out something that isn't a problem right now but can be a problem later is not nitpicking. Brian Day saying that why is Bo Jackson reaching out the ball for another yard when you're putting it in harm's way, that just explained to me why they've been saying ball security with Bo Jackson. It's not because he's been fumbling in practice. It's because he's doing stuff like that. And it can lead to a fumble. So stop doing that. The way he talked about Lincoln Kinos, and they got him his first career rushing time. And like the way that played out of, no, this was a good call. You need to execute the play call. If their problem is execution, they have the players who are good enough to execute these play calls. So red zone issues, check. Julian Sands, awesome, check. They remembered Carnell Tate might be wide receiver 1 in 6 months, check. 2 backs who can be explosive when they get out in space, check. Offensive line, check with a figure out what the heck is going on with right guard. But overall, this is the game that I feel like fans have been waiting to see for a month. And they slow played it for good reasons, and it worked out in their favor because they're in October, where you start to see the teams who aren't very good and the teams who might have a chance start to separate. And then in November, you see the contenders and the pretenders separate. They are right where they want to be heading into October with back-to-back road games. And I also love that they picked this game to do this offensively, because the next time they're going to be in Columbus will be against Penn State. And I know that game lost some shine because of what Penn State did, but Penn State is still, the talent is still the talent. That's still going to be it's going to be the toughest game left on their regular season schedule, not named Michigan, just based on the level of talent there. And I think if you're going to figure out Julian, you'd rather do it in your own backyard than to try to do it on the road 2 weeks before that game. So kudos to the offense for finally showing the version we all thought they were, but this is now where they need to live for the rest of the season. Everything stems off of your passing game and Julian Sand, because for 4 games, he told you, you can give me more. And then you finally gave him more in game 5, and he showed you he could do that. We're going to take our break here, and then we're going to come back and flip over to the defensive side here on Buckeye Talk.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back here on Buckeye Talk. Stephen Means, Stefan Krajisnik, and Andrew Gillis. Ohio State's 42-3 win over Minnesota. Minnesota had 2 drives that went longer than 20 yards. Their opening drive, where they went 13 plays for 60 yards in 6 minutes and 55 seconds, and ended with a field goal. And then their second to last drive, 10 plays, 52 yards, 5:29, with the backups in, and they missed a field goal. The other drives, 3 and out, 5 plays, 19 yards, turnover on downs, 3 and out, 5 plays, 17 yards punt, 3 and out where they didn't earn a single yard, 3 and out where they went backwards for a yard, and then 5 plays, 15 yards, and a punt. Stefan, we are 5 games into the season, and Ohio has scored more points on Ohio State's defense than Texas, Washington, Grambling, and now Minnesota. And one of those is because things got weird on a defensive play for a play. So you take that away. If you take away Lorenzo Styles and Jalen McClain forgot they were Ohio State football players for a second, and you take away a Texas touchdown, listen, man, we at least were having conversations in the moment of whether it was a catch or not a catch. Those are Ohio State's 2 scores this year. Where's the flaw?
Problem is, I don't know if there is one. I'm going to read you a quote from PJ Fleck post-game to put some context to how good this defense is. And I respect PJ Fleck a lot. He was asked about Drake Lindsey getting to play against Ohio State. He said, "I think it was important for our whole team. That's one of the best defenses I've seen in 13 years. And I mean that. I finally met Coach Patricia after the game. It's not just the talent and depth, which are exceptional. It's the schematic complexity. Every play is a different front, blitz, or coverage structure. In the second half, they went to more one rat. And since we couldn't create separation and they could stop the run, they were pretty dominating. They've got great players and a great scheme. They complement each other really well. That's why I went for it on 4th down when it was 14-3. Oh, hang on. Technology decided not to cooperate. That's why I went for it on 4th down when it was 14-3. It was 4th and 1. I could punt, but would you rather give them a 90-yard touchdown drive or try to get a first down? They didn't turn the ball over all game. They could go 90 yards in 5 plays. I had to give something to our team. It was the right call. We just didn't get it." Ohio State has coaches just absolutely in a blender. And Matt Patricia is everything that we've talked about. Other coaches are seeing it. The schematic complexity. You don't know on any given play what a certain formation or alignment or front, whatever, what's going to happen. Like, there were plays where Caleb Downs is just anywhere on the field capable of doing anything on the field. There was one play where Jermaine Matthews came on a corner blitz and had a pretty clean shot at Drake Lindsey. Lindsey just got rid of the ball. Like these are the things that Ohio State is doing to opposing offenses and opposing coaches. And yeah, it's difficult to find the flaw. Like, I think we have to be, pretty honest here. Like, we talked about how, we had questions at defensive tackle, and was Minnesota maybe going to, try to expose that a bit, especially if Darius Taylor played. And he played. I don't know if he was maybe limited in what he could do, but he played. And I know the score, kind of dictates how much you can run the ball at a certain point, but they had 68 rushing yards and only -6 for Drake Lindsey. So it's not like Lindsey had like -30 because he was getting sacked all the time. Like, no, they were averaging 2.7 yards per carry. And there was not a lot of negative, plays in there, like sacks and stuff like that. Like, the one flaw we thought this team has, they're completely shutting down a rushing attack. Like, I don't think there's a flaw on defense. Like, I think this is the best defense in the country. And from what we've seen so far, this defense can go pound for pound with the peak Kirby Smart Georgia years. Like, it's the best defense in the country. It's not even close.
Darius Taylor played 15 snaps. They gave him the ball in the rushing game 8 times. He had 12 yards and a long of 5. They also threw it to him twice. He caught one of them for 6 yards. You're right. I'm very happy Darius Taylor played today, because I wrote this before the game. Like, Darius Taylor playing gave us a chance to check off the last thing about this defense. I don't think Drake Lindsey made bad decisions tonight, Andrew. And I'm glad Stefan read that quote, because he was 15 of 26, where Ohio State DBs are better than Minnesota's wide receivers, man. Like, they're looking at these wide receivers and going, dude, do you see what your DBs are going against today? I have to do that every Tuesday. You think I'm scared of you? Seriously? So his 15 for 26 turned into 94 yards. Even the opening drive where they gave up a touchdown, they gave up a field goal, and it felt like Minnesota was driving a little bit. We learned last year watching this defense. You driving on that opening drive and ending up with a field goal means absolutely nothing. It just means you had success while you were on your script, and Ohio State made you play perfect and drive up the field. Okay, you played perfect and you got 3 points out of it. And then the defensive coordinator figures it out and you never get 3 points ever again. You don't get anything the rest of the game. Find the flaw.
It's got to be reassuring too, as an Ohio State fan, to hear that quote from Fleck talking about all the different fronts and stuff like that on a day where Penn State's defense gave up 42 points to UCLA, or however many points it was. Like, yeah, Matt Patricia's changing things up, doing different fronts. What a novel concept.
Yeah, and like I tweeted this out, like obviously that OU scored more points than Ohio State, but like last year's defense for Ohio State was the number one defense in college football, and in 4 games they allowed 27 points to Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, and Michigan State. Those are 2 MAC teams, a Sun Belt team, and a Big Ten team. This year's team has still not allowed 27 points through 5 games, and that comes against an SEC team, 2 Big Ten teams, an FCS team, and a MAC team. And they've allowed 25 points in 5 games. I'm going to throw more numbers at you, which I think are probably more indicative of this genuinely might just be, the stat that kind of proves it. Texas was 5 of 14 on third down against Ohio State, which like it's not bad as a defense. Like that's 35.71%. Last year, that ranks just 35th in the country. Okay, 35th in the country on third down. It's not terrible. It's pretty solid. Ohio State was 30th at 35.09. So it's kind of about what you were last year. Okay, sure. I'm going to discount the Grambling game because that was, we all know what that was, and I don't want this to weight these stats unfairly. Against OU, Ohio State was 3 of 15 on third down and getting off the field. Against Washington, they were 1 of 11. Or I should say they were 10 of 11. I should say Washington was 1 of 11. Minnesota tonight was 1 of 11 on third down. In the last 2 games, Ohio State is 20 of 22 getting off the field, meaning opponents have a 9.09% conversion rate on third down. In the last 3 games, including the OU game, again, I'm just counting the FBS games, teams are 5 for 37, which is 13.51% in getting off the field, which means against FBS teams this year, totaled it up together 19.6%. Teams are converting third downs. And again, Texas, obviously at 35.71%, has a pretty good conversion rate. They are 10 of 51 against Ohio State's defense. To put that into context, last year's best third down defense was Wyoming at 25.87. And right now, Ohio State's at 19.60. I'm scrolling through CFB stats right now.
Who's the best Power 4?
Last year?
Yeah, because
that was Utah.
Okay.
Utah was 27.43. Has CFB stats goes through college football through 2016 on opposing third down conversions. Michigan is the closest that has come to getting below 20%. In 2016, they were allowing 21.02% on defense. And I think we all remember that 2016 Ohio State Michigan game and how exciting that was. And really, for most of that game, Ohio State's, offense was kind of in a blender, but Ohio State did win, obviously. But it's early. They have played 5 games. They're going to play a lot more. The season might not even be a third of the way over. But yeah, that's where we're at. Ohio State's defense is just not allowing any momentum to build. Think about it. Drake Lindsey, you said, they had the one kind of decent drive, but then you get the hell off the field. And then you go sit down and you watch the offense mount a 5-minute drive for a touchdown, and all of a sudden the game changes and you had 3 plays. Or the game changes and you had 4 plays, 5 plays. Ohio State does not let things linger. That to me is probably the load-bearing stat of just how good this defense has been, because you can be really talented, you can be really good, and if you can't get off the field on third down, you just invite more wackiness, because the other team might have the ball for a few more minutes. You invite this scenario like what happened against OU, where OU throws a bomb, and somebody gets behind a defense. You invite unique scenarios that you might not think of, or you would just invite more things where the other offense is on the field. Very hard to score when you don't have the ball. And Ohio State's doing a very, very good job of stopping other teams from even mounting the most minuscule amount of momentum.
I think it's 1 for 11 on third down. Ohio State's opponents the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, 1 of 11 the last 2 weeks. So 2 of 22 against Washington and Minnesota. And like Minnesota's offense kind of is what it is. They did just hang 31 on Rutgers. But like Washington's offense is good. Like
Washington should have been ranked before they played Ohio State.
Yeah, like Washington's offense like is legitimately good. I'm not backing off of that. I like Damon Williams. I like Jonah Coleman. I like that receiver Boston. That offense legitimately has talent, and Ohio State went 10 of 11 on their down.
They were averaging 55 points per game, and then they played Ohio State and scored 6 points. They scored more points in the second half this week against Maryland than they did the entire game against Ohio State. Remember when we did the Super Team live show? I mean, this is what it looks like. There's as Andrew just said, we are literally a third of the way through the season, potentially, if this team gets to the national championship game. So there is a lot of football left to be played. But just like we talked about on that pod, how you saw early signs of it at this point in the year with some of those teams we mentioned, this is an early sign of it. They got to can sustain this, obviously. But this is a heck of a start. And I wrote this after the game. I don't care about what's going on with Ohio State's college football playoff resume right now. It is not their problem that the other teams that had high expectations coming into the season that are on their schedule are failing to meet the bar.
They had the preseason number 1 and number 2 teams on their schedule, and it, like you said, it's not like Ohio State. It's not their problem that that Penn State's fallen off a cliff and Texas is not playing well.
It's Ohio State's job to do the things necessary to validate why we also had them ranked so high in the preseason. And they've done that. So their playoff resume over the next month, because the first rankings will come out after their next home game against Penn State, doesn't matter. Just do this in what you've been doing for another month, and your playoff resume is going to say you should be the number 1 team. Do this for the next 2 months, and you're probably going to put yourself in a situation where the winner of the Big Ten championship game is going to be the number 1 team.
There's just a level of understanding of it. It doesn't matter who's on the schedule. Everyone can see how good this Ohio State team is. Like, it doesn't matter if Texas or Penn State are not as good as you expected. It actually reminds me, ironically enough, the example here, this is obviously before, everything came out, but it reminds me of 2023 Michigan in a sense of, and Ohio State's resume to this point is even better. Like 2023 Michigan started with a really, really poor schedule, and they were still getting a good amount of number 1 rankings because I think everyone could kind of see, hey, yeah, I know they haven't played anyone, but like this team is stacked, right? And then, the cheating stuff happened and all that, but like you could kind of tell, like, it doesn't matter who they're playing, like this team is really good. And I think you have some of that right now with Ohio State. Like, I don't care how good or bad Texas looks. I see Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs. I say, yeah, I don't care who's on the other side.
All right. So yeah, we got here. I think I said it in like June where it's like, I don't know, maybe we get to the end of September and we're like, oh, well, this team's a super team. It is what it is. See you in Indy. Here we are. This team's really good. See you in Indy. Obviously, I think if this team just takes care of business, everything will be fine. I don't think there's anything from a tactical standpoint that I still have questions about. And even the things that you may have questions about, it's just like, because it's interesting more than it is because you're worried that if they don't fix this, they're going to lose a football game. And I think that is
the biggest question. The biggest question you probably have the rest of the year is between the ears. And that's because November 30th or 29th or whatever day that game is. That's probably the biggest question you have, right? Like you said, physically, like roster-wise, schematically, tactically, they have performed at a level to where the biggest questions you have are like, hey, what's going to happen here? But it's not a concern. It's just like a curiosity. And like, it's, can you end the Michigan thing? And that's pretty much it right now in terms of like the questions that you have about this team. That's, for me, that is the biggest question that I have about this team. And like, that doesn't even impact their ability to win a national championship because we saw it last year.
Yeah. So there's that.
I think they're also undefeated against the spread.
Great. Listen, good team to win.
Oh, I think OU covered.
Yeah,
I think it was 28
right.
and a half. Yeah.
So there's that.
Chirp, chirp, go Cardinals.
I don't like that. I can't wait till Indiana loses.
That's just mean.
He just made fun of me for OU losing.
Okay, when Indiana loses at Oregon next week, you're going to compare it to losing against Ball State?
I'm going to get on this podcast and start quacking like a duck.
Hey, as if you don't do that already, Mr. Dan Lanning.
Dude's a good coach.
1-4-3-5-0-3-3-1-5 is a 2-week free trial. $3.99 after that. And listen, our live shows every Wednesday at noon. Come join us. It's a fun time where we hit up a lot of bigger topics. We'll be back in the Woody on Tuesday talking with Ryan Day. Stefan and I, Leave No Doubt Pod on Monday. We're going to be discussing the idea of Ohio State being the first ever 16-0 team and what we think are the factors that are getting and that could potentially get in the way of that based on what we've seen around the country. But then also some of this is an internal thing, right? When you have been living at this high for so long, eventually you have to come down, and we're wondering, when does that happen for Ohio State? If that happens for Ohio State, or can they find a way to sustain this for another 12 months and somehow find their way to holding another gold trophy? That'll be the Monday pod, Leave No Doubt pod. Tuesday, we'll be talking with Ryan Day, live show on Wednesday, game preview pod for Ohio State versus Illinois next week. I think that's still going to be a ranked game. It's just not going to be a top 10 game the way it probably would have been at Illinois beating Indiana, but it's still an interesting test for Ohio State. So 614-350-3315, 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. For Stefan Krajisnik and Andrew Gillis, I'm Stephen Means. Talk to you guys later.